Hello, I'm Sunil. I welcome you back to my YouTube channel Tech Basics. So in the last video, we have discussed about if-else statement, wherein we have only taken care of one particular condition. Now, if the number of conditions are going to be more than one, for example, say we are going to get the discount based on the bill that we make up. So in that case, if the bill happens to be say between 1 to 5,000, you are going to get some discount. If it is greater than 5,000 and less than 10,000, you are going to get some other discount. If it is greater than 10,000, you are going to get the discount value which is different from the previous two and so on. So in that case, wherein you want to go with multiple conditions, you have to go with nested if-else statement. So in case of nested if-else statement, the syntax will be something like this. So you are supposed to write there, if you are supposed to mention the condition which is your first condition, and then if this condition is true, you are going to execute a statement which is going to be your first statement. If this condition that we mention over here happens to be false, then it will go to else part. So this is what we have seen. But now in this else part, you will also have one more if condition. So you are going to write the second condition over here. And if this second condition is true, then you are going to execute statement 2. If your second condition also fails, then it will execute statement 3. So what is that we are trying to say over here? When you want to write nested if and else statement, it means that when you write if condition, again in else part, you are going to write if statement with a condition followed by an else statement for that. And this can continue as many number of times as you like. You can also call it as if-else ladder. Otherwise, we call it as nested if-else statement. Nested because one if is present under another if statement. So first condition is true, it will execute statement 1. First condition is false, it will check the second condition. If it is true, it will execute statement 2. If the second condition is also false, then only it will execute statement 3. So how is that we are going to perform this? Let's try to do some program on this particular concept. So Raj company wants to provide salary increment to the employees based on the basic salary. So the employees are going to get some increment over here, but the condition for that is on the basis of the basic salary which an employee gets. So here goes the problem statement. If your basic salary happens to be between 1 to 5,000, your increment is going to be 10% of basic salary. Okay, and if it is beyond 5,000, that is 5,001 to 10,000, then your increment happens to be 12%. If it is beyond 10,000 and up to 15,000, up or equal to 15,000, then your increment is going to be 14%. If it is beyond 15,000 as your basic salary, then your increment is going to be 16%. So how is that we are going to write a program for this? So what is that we need to do here? We are supposed to accept the basic salary of an employee, and we are just supposed to calculate the increment that an employee is going to get on the basis of your basic salary. So how is that we are going to write a program for this? So in this case, as you have multiple conditions and you need to check for every condition, you need to go with the concept of making use of nested if-else statement. So I'll take here the basic salary as float, and then I will declare here the increment value also as float. So then you can give a message to the user. Say to the user, dear user, you enter the basic salary of an employee. So once the user enters, how is that you are going to accept it? As we know, it is float value. So %f ampersand, you will say basic. So what is that we are trying to do over here? From the user, we are going to accept the basic salary. So write the print statement and then accept the value by using a scan statement. As it is declared as float value, you will write it as %f. Now what is that you need to do? You need to calculate the increment part of it. But for calculating that, you need to write multiple conditions, which can be done with the help of your nested if and else statement. So how you will write it? You can start either from the bottom part or from the top. It's our choice, and then you can write the code for that. So how we are going to write now? If I will say, if the basic happens to be less than 5,000. So when I say basic, definitely it will be more than 1 rupee or 1 rupee. So I will not write the first condition. I will say less than 5,000. If it is going to be 5,000, then I will say the increment value equals to basic into the amount of percentage given over there is 10. So you write like this, which means what? If your basic happens to be 1 to 5,000, you are going to get an increment of 10%. Else I cannot write increment directly. I need to check. Else means what now? Your basic is not less than or equal to 5,000. That means your basic is more than 5,000. So if it is more than 5,000, it will come to else part. So what is the next condition we have there? We have the next condition as 10,000. So you can check here, basic less than or equal to 10,000. So I need not to specify here basic greater than 5,000 and less than 10,000, because when it comes to else part, it means it is greater than 5,000. So considering that, I will just write the other statement or condition saying basic less than 10,000. Then your increment has to be your basic into 12%. So that is 12 by 100 or 0.12. Else now means what? Your basic salary is not less than 5,000, nor it is less than 10,000. Your basic salary is more than 10,000. So then what to do? If again, you will say basic salary now, if it is more than 10,000, you check whether it is less than 15,000. If it is so, your increment over here has to be basic multiplied by say 14%, so 0.14. Similarly, you can say else. Now else means what? It is your basic is not less than 5,000, not less than 10,000, not less than 15,000. So that means it is greater than 15,000. So in that case, you say increment equals to basic multiplied by 16%, that is 0.16. So this is how you are going to calculate your increment value. Now whatever you calculated, you try to display that. You say basic equals to %f, and then you say increment value equals to %f, and there you write your variable BAS and INCR. So that completes your program. So what is that we have done? Whatever values you are accepting and whatever value you are calculating, declare those variables first, because you are talking about rupees and paisa, better you declare it as float value. And accordingly, accept the value of basic, and based on the basic salary, you try to calculate the value or the increment of the employee on the basis of basic salary. Now execute this particular code. So your program is asking you to enter 10 basic salary. So I'll enter here the basic salary as say 10,000, which means what? It is not less than 5,000, but it will be less than or equal to 10,000. So my increment has to be 12%. So now we can check that. So you can see your basic is 10,000 and your increment is 1,200 rupees. Likewise, if I re-execute the program and now if I enter it as 4,000, then I will get the increment as 10% of it, because it is less than 5,000, which is 400 rupees. In the similar way, if I enter this as say 16,000, then it means it is neither less than 5, neither less than 10, it is more than 15,000. So it is going to calculate with 16%. You can see that 16 into 16 is 256 and so on. So this is how your basic salary is calculated. Now if I enter something like say 20,000, then it is going to be with 16% again, which means it is 3,200 and so on. So what is that we are trying to understand and learn in this program? We know how to declare the variables now. There should not be any question now. We know how to make use of input and output statement. Now what is that we are trying to do over here is we are trying to find, or we are going to calculate some value based on multiple conditions that are given to us. And here the conditions are on the basis of basic salary. So this is how you try to execute the program, wherein you have used if, else, again if, again else, again if, again else. What you call this as nested if else statement. Otherwise you can also call it as if else ladder. So then we'll try to go for, or we'll try to write one more program on the basis of nested if and else statement. Here what is that exactly we want to do? Here also Raj company wants to designate the class for the staff members working in his organization on the basis of basic pay. So you want to call the employees working in an organization as class 1 employees, class 2 employees, class 3 employees, class 4 employees. So on what basis the company wants to perform this classification? So it is again on the basis of your basic salary. So what you need to do again, you are supposed to accept the basic salary, and if your salary happens to be less than or equal to 10,000, then you are going to declare, or you are going to designate the employee as class 4 employee. If it is going to be greater than 10,000 and less than 20,000, you are going to designate the employee as class 3 employee. Otherwise, if your basic salary is greater than 20,000 and less than 30,000, you are going to designate as class 2. If the basic salary happens to be greater than 30,000, you are going to designate the employee as class 1 employee. So on a basis of the basic salary, either you are going to designate the employee as class 1 or class 2 or class 3 or class 4 employee and so on. So as I told you in the previous example, either you can start writing the code from this point, or you can as well start from the last condition. So let's try to write this with the help of last condition. That is basic greater than 30,000, then you will come to basic greater than 20,000, then 10,000, and then it will be less than 10,000. So in the similar way over here, you are supposed to declare a variable called basic, and then the designation you can directly display it to the user, wherein you can give a message to the user saying enter basic salary. And then you can accept the basic salary by saying %f ampersand basic. And once you accept the basic, now you try to designate an employee. So you can go with the last condition as we said, if the basic happens to be greater than 30,000. When I say greater than 30,000, it means it starts from 30,001. Then what is that you need to do? You want to classify, or you want to designate the employee as class 1 employee. So you can say printf, you are class 1 employee. You are class 1 employee because your basic salary is greater than 30,000. Else means what now? Your basic is not greater than 30,000. So you go for the next condition. What is our next condition? Basic greater than 20,000. So that means it is 20,001 to 30,000. If your basic happens to be in this range, then you are going to designate the employee by saying printf, you are class 2 employee. Else part of this means what? Your salary basic is not greater than 30,000. Then it will come to the second condition. It will check whether it is greater than 20,000. If it is No, then it will come to the third condition wherein you are supposed to say if the basic happens to be greater than 10,000, which means you are checking from 10,001 to 20,000. In that case, you can say printf you are class 3 employee. Now, if all the three conditions fails, means what? Your salary is not greater than 30, not greater than 20,000, not greater than 10,000. That means by default, you can say it is less than 10,000. So else you can now write directly without a condition, printf, you are class 4 employee, and so on. So this is how either you can start writing from the highest value to the lowest value, or other way around as we have done in a previous example. Now what is that you need to do? Execute the program. There you try to enter the basic salary. So if I enter the basic salary as say 45,000, I should get the result as class 1 employee. In the similar way, if I enter something like say 25,000, I should get the result as class 2 employee. The same way, if I enter something like say 15,000, I should get it as class 3 employee. The same way, if I enter 5,000, I should get it as class 4 employee. The same way, if I enter 10,000 rupees, now what happens? It is neither this, nor this, nor this. So it will come to class 4 only. So you can check that. So this is how you can write multiple conditions in a program using nested if-else statement, and then you can execute the program. So in the next video, we'll try to discuss about switch statements and then what are the various operators that are supported by C language. Thank you.